And now it's time to introduce Jennifer Rose. She was last with us in March of 2020. She turned out to be our final in-person guest speaker. She's a gifted and inspirational speaker. She can act as a medium, and she loves to do that kind of work. She honors the opportunity to work with spirit and happy to share her messages. Jennifer Rose.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for having me. And I just appreciate having the opportunity to be with all of you here this morning. And I'm very excited to be able to present for you. My name is Jennifer Rose, and as Mary so kindly spoke, I am a medium and a healer and a spiritual teacher, and I love doing everything that I do. And I love using my mediumship to help people, and I also do charity work with that as well, so I find it to be a very fulfilling job. And I'm so excited here to talk about how you can increase your communication with spirit. And the reason why we titled this presentation, We Are All Spirit, is because that is the truth. As we all know here, I'm sure because we are very like-minded people on the spiritual journey, we know that we are spiritual souls having a human experience. So we're experiencing this physical reality, but first and foremost, we are spirit. And so there's absolutely no reason why we can't communicate with spirit, because we are spirit. So I'm going to kind of go through some ways that will help you and increase your ability to communicate, because I know that everybody's wanting to feel connection with their loved ones who have passed on. And I get many times people saying to me, oh, I wish I could do what you do, but I just don't know how, or I can't. And I'm like, oh, no, but of course you can. You are spirit. So it doesn't have to be that hard. So that's the first thing that we need to remember, is that we are spiritual beings and we're having this human experience. But because we are spirit, we absolutely can make that connection. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about, and I'll do this in a couple segments, is how spirit communicates with us. And then I will show you some things about how you can communicate with them. So when I talk about spirit communicating with us, I will be referring to your loved ones in spirit, your spiritual guides, and your guardian angels. And those are the only ones who would be communicating with you, because those are who are connected with you, who have that loving bond. So somebody else's loved ones would not be communicating with you, because they would be communicating with the person that they're connected to. So that's who I'm referring to when I talk about spirit connecting with us. And they have several ways of doing this. And I know that many of you will be recognizing that some of these things may have happened for you. So this will be really good validation to know, like, oh, that's happened to me. That means my spirit people were trying to talk to me or get a message, or just let me know that they're here. So one of the most fun ways I think spirit loves to communicate with us is through music. And so when I say through music, they may have favorite songs, or you may have favorite songs that you have shared with them, or there may be songs that are meaningful to you in the moment for what you may be going through in your life. And you might find that that you're driving your car, and then all of a sudden your focus gets turned to the radio, to the song that's playing. It could be the title, or it could be a few words in the song. And you know that it just kind of happened like that, sort of automatically. That's a way that spirit likes to get messages to us. And I just think that's such a fun thing. And quite often people will tell me, I'm listening to the radio and the genre of music shouldn't be playing that special song that is connected to my loved one, but somehow it just was on there, or somehow I just managed to get in the car at the right time so that I heard that song. If I had left 5 minutes earlier or 5 minutes later, I would not have had that experience. So it really shows you the intelligence of spirit and how they love to communicate with us, and what lengths they will go to do so. So all of the timing is orchestrated to help us get there so that we can have that beautiful communication. But I think music is one of the most beautiful ways, and the frequency and the vibration of the music really kind of we can feel it. And so that really helps us to kind of form that connection because we can feel the music, and that helps to sort of open us up to that experience. Another way that they like to communicate with us is through numbers. And so many times people who are starting to get interested in spirituality, they start reading books or taking classes, all of a sudden notice that their focus or their attention keeps being drawn to the clock, and it's always at 11:11 or 4:44 or 3:33. And these numbers keep repeating. And then they see it on a license plate out of nowhere, or they see it on another type of sign out of nowhere. And so when you have that consistency like that, that is giving you a message that spirit is around you and trying to give you a hello, trying to give you that, that we're here around you and we're wanting to say hello, or just give you a little bit of support, or just let you know that we're here. And it's quite lovely. And a lot of people want to know what the numbers mean. And the most important thing to know is that it's what they mean to you. It could just be that particular repeating number, or it doesn't even have to be a repeating number. It could be 368 or something like that, any random number. But that's the one that you keep seeing. It's what it means to you, or it could just be that that's the number they've chosen. But lots of people like to Google the number and look and see what it means, but you might get 100 different explanations of what that number means when you do that. So I always suggest, just what does it mean for you? How do you feel when you get that number? And the most important thing is that you're getting the communication, and it's pretty exciting when that happens. So that's a really fun way that spirit loves to communicate with us, is through numbers. Another way that people just really love and it touches their heart is they might find that they start to find feathers. And often it can be white feathers, but it doesn't have to be. It could be any kind of feather, but they find that they start picking them up and noticing them, and then they're kind of showing up where they might not be. And that's always a very beautiful way that spirit likes to communicate with. So it sort of makes us feel like our angels around us, when we find the feathers. So that's a very beautiful way as well. Coins. I get that one a lot. That's really popular. People will start finding coins on the ground. It might be in their home, and they're really not supposed to be there. Like, there's no reason you would have dropped that there. It might be a bright, shiny penny, and you might see it on the sidewalk on a walk, or find it in your car, or find it in your home. And sometimes people find a collection of them, and they realize that the amount that they're adding to has a significance to it. So that's also another really fun way that spirit likes to communicate with us. Okay. And the next way is through electronics. And some of you may have experienced this. So when I say through electronics, they're very intelligent, and we understand that how energy works. And so they could flicker the lights to let us know that they're here. That could be, grandma or grandpa or mom or dad trying to get your attention to let you know, hey, we're here, we're with you, we're watching over you, and we're excited to say hello. Sometimes people will get disturbances, say like on their radio, they might get a little bit of static, or something is not quite going right. And that's kind of letting you know, that there's no other reason for that to be happening. And so that's another way through electronics that they might try to communicate with us. Sometimes things will just turn off out of nowhere. So you just never know what you're going to get. But we find that to be very exciting, because it's letting us know that something unusual is happening, and that means spirit's with us and connecting with us. So that's a very exciting way. Temperature changes. You may find that you're sitting at your desk, working on your computer, or watching a television show, laying in your bed, reading a book, and all of a sudden the air temperature starts to change. It might feel a little bit cooler, might feel a little bit warmer. And you look around, your AC's not on, your windows aren't open. So that is another way that they communicate. So probably let you know that someone close to you might be standing close to you, like one of your loved ones who's wanting to come in and just say hello and give their love to you. We also sometimes will feel a light touch. So people will come and say, oh, I felt this little, this little touch on my face or this little touch on my shoulder very gently. They try to do it very gently because they don't want to alarm us. And that, someone close to us is saying, I love you. I'm here with you. And that's a beautiful way as well. And that can be very fascinating for people when they have the experience of a light, gentle touch of spirit coming close to them. Dreams are very common as well. So many people say, I see my loved ones in my dreams, or right before they fall asleep, or right before they're about to wake up, where they're still kind of in that altered state. That kind of gives an opening for one of your loved ones or one of your guides or angels to come in and visit you then. So many people will have some really fascinating stories of people visiting them in their dreams. And it's very exciting and very healing when that happens as well. We also may have smells and sounds. So if your grandmother in spirit perhaps had a favorite perfume they wore all the time, you might find all of a sudden you smell that perfume in the air, and you didn't put perfume on, nobody else put perfume on. So that is a way that they're communicating as well. And that way you know who it is, which is really exciting. Sounds can be common too. Those tend to be we may hear what sounds like little knocks or pops on the walls or the ceilings. They're not the same as house creaks. So you do need to be a little bit discerning, because sometimes we want it to be the knock or the pop, but it's just a creak or it's a pipe or something like that. So we do need to be a little bit discerning, but after a while you can really tell the difference. And a lot of times those will happen when we're thinking about something and that pop is kind of saying, yes, we hear you. Yes, you're correct, or giving you some kind of validation. If you have a question about something too, you might be thinking about, or if you're speaking out loud, say with a person, and you're having some kind of important discussion, and say, dad in spirit is watching two siblings have an important discussion. Maybe they're talking about dad. And so he'll do a little knock on the wall to say, yes, so that's always really exciting. I love them. I have to say. And another way is through our thoughts. So I'd like to tell people, when we're thinking about our loved ones, it also means they're thinking about us, because we know there's really no time and space. Our physical reality is a bit of an illusion. We know that too. So with no time and space, when we're thinking of them, they're also thinking of us. And they may want to help us with something that we're working through, something that we're trying to figure out in our lives, in our physical lives that we're going through. And so they may, kind of whisper into our thoughts to help us, give us a little bit of an answer or a little bit of assistance. So those are the many, many different ways that spirit likes to communicate with us. So now I'd like to tell you when these types of communications are most likely to happen. And they tend to happen when we tend to be in a more relaxed state or in a little bit of an altered state. So for example, when we're driving, everybody has probably had that experience when we're driving, that we get to our location and we suddenly realize we don't quite know how we got there. We don't know where the last 10 minutes went. We kind of went into this automatic state where another part of us was helping us to get to our destination safely, but we realized we weren't fully sort of alert at the time. So we were in a different frame of mode. So driving, because we move into that very relaxed state, we may feel spirit communicating with us on the radio, or we may just start to feel the atmosphere in the car change. And that's letting us know, oh, I think someone might be here with me. And it's a very loving feeling too. It's a very loving experience, but you'll feel like something's different. I feel a little different all of a sudden. So that is one way. Also, like when we're showering, when we're doing laundry, those types of things, those are very sort of meditative practices. They don't require a lot of thought. And so we tend to get into a different space when we're doing those things. So then we might feel something happen, the little brush on the cheek or a little temperature change, or the lights might flicker, something like that. People tend to, when they're journaling at night, I've noticed, tend to get visitations when they're journaling at night from their loved ones as well. And I also know that our loved ones love when we remember them. And those are often times when they will also come to visit us. And today, of course, we know is the anniversary of 9/11. So today is all about remembrance. It's kind of a perfect time to have this discussion too, and to remind us all that our loved ones are still themselves. They move into the spirit world. They're more connected with their spiritual selves. So, any problems or issues or health issues are no more when they're spirit world, but they're still them. They still retain their personality and their connection to us and their love for us. So they absolutely appreciate so much when we take the time to remember them. So they love it when we tell stories about them, when we look at their pictures or put their pictures up on our nightstand or maybe a mantle. They love it when we light candles for them. If they've passed down their heirlooms to us and we touch them and look at them or wear them, they love it when we do those things, and those will bring them closer to us. We might wear their ring or a pair of clothing that they had. And that's also, and we'll feel something different happen. And they just absolutely appreciate that. We'll definitely bring them closer to us when those things happen. I know as spirit likes to come close to that. If we're having a conversation about spiritual topics, like we are this morning, spirit loves to come and listen. So that's always a good way when you're having a conversation about a spirituality with another person. Or maybe you're reading a book, say you've bought a book on crystals or bought a book on the afterlife or something like that. And as you're reading it, you may start to feel something change because they're very interested in that as well, obviously, because they're on the other side. And so they love to join you in that process too. Another time too that they will like to visit us is if we go to visit them, say at their grave or where they're put to rest, and we go to visit them, they will definitely be there with us at that time. If we go into a church or a temple or a place of worship, those places have a high amount of very lovely spiritual energy. So that's an often time where we might realize we're having an experience with spirit as well, that it's a time where our loved one can come and visit them. So there's so many different opportunities for us to make these lovely connections with our loved ones. And I'm sure many of you here today at this meeting have had some of those, and maybe later during the readings you can tell me a story or two. Okay, the next thing I wanted to show you and now is how they will communicate with us more specifically. And mediums, we communicate using our clairs. Now, many of you may have heard the term clairvoyance. That's very common. And most of us probably know what that means. That means we're seeing images in our third eye or in our mind's eye. So that's what clairvoyance is. So it's very easy. We're all clairvoyant. If I asked you all to imagine a green apple in your mind, you could quite easily do that. You're using your clairvoyance. The only difference for us when we're communicating with spirit, instead of us purposely imagining a picture in our mind, a spirit person will put that picture in for us. So that will be the difference, but we're still using our clairvoyance either way. Most of the time, clairvoyance and the other clairs happen internally within us. So when I say in my mind's eye, it means I'm not seeing it objectively outside of me, but that is certainly possible. Some people do say they have seen a spirit, a silhouette of a spirit person, or they might see some lights, that twinkly lights that happen in front of them as well. That would be what we call an objective experience of spirit coming to connect with us or communicate with us. One of the next clairs that they also use is called clairaudience, and that's our mind's ear. So that means we may hear something separate from our own thoughts. So it might be a name, it might be a message, a phrase. We might hear a song come into our mind that we weren't thinking of, and that could be spirit giving us a clairaudient experience, especially if that song is meaningful to you with a loved one. So if you have a special song that you share with a loved one, and all of a sudden it pops into your mind and starts playing, it probably means that that loved one is trying to communicate with you and say hello and give you an I love you, which is very lovely. And again, if you were to just think of one of your favorite songs and try to imagine the words in your mind's ear, you could do that. If I said, play your favorite song in your mind, you could think of it, and then you could start thinking of the words and you'd think of the melody. Same thing. The only difference is spirit will be putting that thought or sound into our mind's ear. Now, again, some people do hear objective outside of them sounds. So that could be, again, like we said with the knocks, or they might actually hear next to their ear someone calling them their name. And that again could be a mom or a dad or a brother or sister or a loved one. So that's always exciting when those things happen, but they can be kind of more rare. We tend to hear them more in our mind's ear. But if it happens outside of you in that objective manner, that's kind of exciting. So that would be a like, woohoo kind of moment that you would have with spirit to know that they were able to do that with you. Another clair that we use is called Clairsentience. And this one is very common with mediums, and we do try to develop this quite a bit because it has to do with our ability to feel spirit. So as a medium, when I'm connecting with the spirit world, I will ask them to come nice and close to me so I feel like they're just giving me a hug. And that way I can really tune into their energy, and they can give me impressions that I can feel about them. So often this may be health issues that they will give me an impression of a health issue. So I might feel a little tightness in this area. So that lets me know they might have had trouble breathing, or they might have had a heart issue that was happening there. And then that piece goes away and a new piece comes in. So it's in and it's out. They also can share with me physical characteristics. So kind of like Alice in Wonderland, all of a sudden I feel very tall. I feel very tall, or feel very big compared to my actual size. So they're showing me I was a taller person, I was a larger person, or I feel very small, or maybe I was more slender, those kinds of things. So they'll give me physical characteristics as well that they'll share with me with that way. And also emotional aspects too. So I feel their love. That's probably one of the most beautiful parts about mediumship, is that when I connect with them, I'll get this giant, wave of love just in making that connection in the first place. But then when I feel their love for you, the person who's receiving that message, it's just so beautiful. And they may share some other emotions as well. So if they are talking about, maybe they like to talk about their lives and tell their stories. And if they might be talking about in an evidential manner, trying to give some evidence about their life, but it's also a way for them to tell their story. There may be some different emotions that go with that. For say, they're talking about a difficult period that they had in their life. So I might feel a little sadness that goes with that. So that will let me kind of know, oh, your loved one went through this during their life, and it caused them a little bit of a sad, or this was a difficult time for them. And then the person receiving the message, oh, yes, that's correct. I remember that was a difficult time. So they'll share these, emotions and physical characteristics and all of these lovely things. And it's a really good way to work, because we can get so much information that way using our clairsentience. And many spiritual people tend to have very good clairsentience. They just need to know how to use it in a more efficient manner, and they need to know how to use more discernment in what they're feeling. So I know that many people in the spiritual community would describe themselves as very sensitive or empathic. So that means they've already got sort of an innate, well-developed clairsentience, but they may not know quite how to use it. And so I have noticed sometimes they might get a little confused, thinking that they feel something and they think it's something outside of themselves happening, but that's not always true. So learning to use your clairsentience and practice with it really will help you to feel empowered within your own energy as well. So you really have a much better idea of all of your everyday experiences as well. But it's just a beautiful thing, because you can feel all of the love. That's what's so beautiful about clairsentience. And another one is claircognizance. So that means we just get those drops of knowing into our awareness. So think of like as an aha moment that you might have, or you've been waiting for an answer or trying to remember the name of something, and then all of a sudden it just drops into your awareness. Maybe you're working on a project and you having to write a report or an essay or of some sort too, and it might be even a creative project, and you have to stop and you have to wait, and then all of a sudden it just comes to you. So that's what claircognizance is. So for us as mediums, it means we just know it. We didn't really hear it. We didn't see it. We just know it. So it's just, they've really just kind of downloaded that piece of information into our awareness, and then we share it with you. So we all have all of these clairs because we are all spirit, and we can learn to develop them, and that will help us to increase our communication. And that's where we're going to go next, is learning how to develop our clairs and how to increase our communication so we now can communicate with them. Now, for communicating with them, the first thing, or the first ingredient, shall I say, is love. That is the most important ingredient in being able to communicate with our loved ones in spirit. So again, our people who are connected with us, our family members, our friends, our guides, our angels, if we're wanting to communicate with them, the most important ingredient is love. Without that, it really isn't possible, because we have to understand that our true selves, that we are spirit, is oneness. It's outside of what we call duality. And in that space of oneness, that is a space of love. It's a space of, love and high amounts of compassion and joy. And so when we can get ourselves into a loving space, it will definitely help us. But also it's our love for them and their love for us that makes that communication possible. So even though all of the spirit world loves us, no matter who it is, it's really who is connected with us, because we have that bond. We have that bond. That's why somebody else's loved ones wouldn't come and visit you, because they're visiting their person. They're visiting their person. And as a medium, the only times I would feel an exception to that would be if I were, say, working with a group or working with an individual, and that individual may have a friend who had just lost somebody, and a spirit person will come through. Can you please give a message to your friend for me? And so that, because it's still connected with love, and that's the only time that sort of thing would really happen, is they would want to give a message. And that shows how intelligent they are, that they know, okay, I want to get a message to that person, but their friend is going to the medium. Let me talk to their guides and see if it's okay, and get that permission, see if I can get a message. And of course they will, because it's needed. It's about love. It's about healing. That's what that mediumship is about, is providing the love and the healing for people who are missing their loved ones. So that is the most important thing. Love is the bridge between the two realms. The second ingredient is to really believe that you can. So we need to change our mindset that we can't to we can, because like I said at the beginning, we are all spirit. So absolutely we can communicate with them. There's nothing that will get in the way with them. We might need a little bit of practice and take a little bit of time, but we can do it. Absolutely. I personally believe that. I know some people believe not all people are mediums, but if we're all spirit, we absolutely can develop that connection. Some people might take a little bit longer before they actually feel like they've seen something, or they've heard something, or they felt something, but your loved ones are with you all the time, wanting to connect with you, wanting to love you, wanting to support you and watch over you. The third thing that we can do is set the intention. So if we're like, okay, I really want to do this. I really want to make this connection. So we set the intention to do it, and we invite our loved ones, mom, dad, and spirit. I really want to feel you. I really want to talk to you. Will you please help me do this? And so when we set that intention, we're kind of like opening the door a little bit farther, a little bit more, to kind of make it more possible. So that's a really important thing too, is we just make that decision that we want that to happen. The spirit world is very respectful of us. So if we were, not ready for it, they would hold back. They would pull back and kind of wait. But there may be a point where we're like, I'm really ready for this now. I really want to communicate with my loved ones. I want to feel them. I want to talk to them. So we set that intention and we invite them to kind of work with us and do that. The fourth thing then is to practice our clairs, which we just spoke about a few moments ago, is to practice our clairs. So I'm going to tell you a couple of ways that you can do that. And that way you can it will be very fun for you, and it will be something that you can do in your everyday life. But I think that you will find it to be very spiritually empowering and fulfilling for you as well, to do these little fun exercises. So with clairvoyance, again, that's our ability to see images in our mind's eye. Great ways to do that is to practice art. It's very creative. It uses the right brain. And I've noticed a lot of good mediums, they might have a background in music, or they have a background in actual art. And so they've learned to use kind of both sides of their brain, and that helps them to develop their clairvoyance. And so they're able to see lots of colors and lots of pictures. So art is a beautiful way. And also when think about it, when we're doing art, we're really moving into another space, our ability to channel our creative energies. And so when I say channel, that means we're opening up. And so that kind of allows things to take place too, by learning to open up into a different way that may have not been so used to. And I also I'd like to tell people to really notice the fine details of things. If you've ever, driven down a freeway that you always drove down, have you ever all of a sudden look to the side and say, I never noticed that building was there? And you realize it's been there for 20 years and you just never noticed it, or maybe it was a tree. So we do tend to tune things out because there is so much going on around us. And so we learn to kind of tune things out. So we want to learn to tune back in. So take time when you're on a walk to really notice all of the trees. Maybe stop, look at the flowers and the detail and the leaves and all of the different colors that are around you. Just go sit outside on your patio or your backyard and just notice all of the things that you might not take the time to do. And that's also helping to build that creative flow within you. And also to play. So if you've got any youngsters in your life, play with them, or play games with people, or have fun singing silly songs or silly conversations. But getting into a playful mode is really good because it's very creative and it's very open experience. So any way that you could find that's playful for you, maybe it's dance or music or singing, and make it fun and make it light. And that will help you to develop your clairvoyance as well. With your clairaudience, again, we tend to tune out a lot of sounds that are around us. So a great thing to do is spend a few minutes tuning in. So if you go outside, for example, you might hear cars driving by, birds chirping, leaves rustling, children playing, a conversation happening down the street. And those are things we really might just not be paying attention to, but by tuning in, we're helping also to exercise our clairaudience. So that's really important too. And I also like listening to music, because the frequency and the vibration of the music, I really feel like that helps to develop our clairaudience as well. And because we're listening, and so we can listen to all of the different instruments, for example, so we can pick out what's the drum, what's the piano, what's the guitar. Listen to the different sounds of the vocalist that's on there. They might go high, they might go low. So really practice listening. And listening is a great skill that we can just all use in our everyday life, is listening and listening to each other. And I'm also going to say, listen to people telling their story. That is what spirit loves to do. They love to tell their story. It's their legacy of their lifetime. And so I do, to my mediumship students, take the time to get to know people. And of course, I know we're in a time of a pandemic, so we have to be careful with our social interaction. But if we're at the store and we're, all following all of the safety protocol, we can say hi to the person who's checking us out. How are you today? Those kinds of things start to generate a little conversation. Or maybe we just have a friend and we realize we don't know as much about them as we could, or our parents or grandparents, they love telling the stories of their lifetime and we just never maybe took the time to ask. So that's a great way, because when we're in a mediumship aspect, I'm in a conversation with your loved one. They're telling me their story through the images, through the sounds, through the feelings. And I love to be able to convey that to you. And that's why I love doing the group demonstrations as well, because the whole audience is getting to hear the stories of the loved ones that are in spirit. And they all have great stories to tell. They've all, had all kinds of experiences. And it's just a beautiful way of remembering everybody and keeping everybody's memory alive. So I definitely recommend that, because sometimes as sensitive people can be a little bit on the shy side, and we may, be a little reluctant to to converse with people. So it is important that if you're kind of wanting to develop that, to maybe get over that fear or that nervousness, and realize that people love to be heard. It's an important skill. We all want to be seen. We all want to be heard, and we all want to know. So telling our story and listening to other people's story is really such an important skill, and absolutely will help you with your connection to spirit. Now, with Clairsentience, what I like to recommend to people is that they really take some time to tune in to themselves. And so throughout the day, we will feel a whole variety of moods and emotions and thoughts. Some may be more positive, some may be more negative. We don't need to judge any of it. We just need to kind of watch it and experience it. And that helps us just to get in tune with ourselves and our own energy. And I like to remind people that we are spirit having this experience of a physical reality. So what that means is the soul of us, the higher aspect of us, however we want to call it, wants to have a lot of experiences during this lifetime, get as much out of it as we can. So that means we're going to experience a whole range of emotions, a whole range of themes in our lifetimes. And some of them might be happier and some of them might be sadder, but the soul values every experience, what we can learn from it, how we can grow from it, what kind of love that can come out of that can be created out of every experience. And so by paying attention to our moods in a really non-judgmental manner, we're learning how to tune into what we are truly feeling, and that's very important, because when I'm working mediumistically, I'm also tuning into what spirit is feeling and what they're giving me as well. So that will help you develop that ability, because when we're wanting to connect with spirit, we do want to know the difference between feeling our own energy as we're experiencing it, and then feeling kind of when spirit has come closer to us, so we can learn to make that discernment of the different energies as well. So I know that when I open up my energy to spirit to work with them mediumistically, I feel a change as well. So I've gotten very good at knowing my own emotions versus something else that I might be feeling mediumistically with spirit. So that's a really good way. And again, with the music, pay attention to how you feel with different musics. And don't be afraid to listen to a song that might be a little bit sad, because then you're tuning into what that feels like. And I know we all have certain songs that might be like, it's a sad song, but it's so beautiful and we loved listening to it. And we love kind of tuning into the experience of that. But we know there's nothing wrong. We know we really aren't sad. We just know that we're enjoying that song for some reason, but there's a beauty in it too. And so we're learning to appreciate all of the different ranges of emotions and experiences that we can have. And then tune into the vibration of the music. How does it make you feel? Do you feel anything energetically change? Maybe one of your favorite songs you're listening to, and it's very alive in its energy and in its frequency, and you realize you feel some tingles or some sparkles when you're listening to that music. So that's very exciting. So pay attention to how you feel, and that's helping you to get in tune with understanding and learning about energy. Okay, now there's two more things that we can do, and I will walk you through it. One is sitting in the power, and that is a special type of what I will call meditation that mediums use to help learn to open up so that we connect with spirit. And we learn to expand our energy. And so it kind of helps us open up so that we can reach that altered space, move and touch the space of spirit. And the truth is, the space of spirit is around us always, but because we're so tuned into this reality and our human experience, we kind of forget how to do that. But we do often sometimes move into that space, like I said, like when we're driving, those things without us even realizing it. But we're doing it purposely. So we call it sitting in the power. And if you ask 10 different mediums, what does that mean? You'll get a slightly different explanation for what that means. But the power is spirit. It's your spiritual energy. It's the spiritual energy around you. It's what we're all made of. And it's beautiful, and it's high vibrational, and it's the truth of who we are. And we're just learning to touch it, to tune into it. So we're blending with our own soul energy, but then we're learning to feel the energy of spirit around us blending with us as well. So it's really beautiful. And in just a moment, I will walk you through that so you can kind of get a little practice at what that looks like. And then the last thing is just to relax and be open. So just relax and be open. So like I spoke earlier about all the different times and spaces that spirit likes communicating with us. We're watching TV, we're reading a book, we're driving. What do we know? We're just relaxed in that moment. We're not focused on all of our problems and our thoughts and things that are going on. And so that we're just very open. So we just want to really just be open to whatever can happen. And then they'll just kind of come to us too. So that really helps. And sometimes with my mediumship students that I teach, they want to try to go get it. And it's like, no, it's okay. Just go and be in that nice, relaxed space, and they will really bring it to you. So we just want to open up to the energy, and they will bring it to us and just let it flow through us. So it's just a nice channel. We don't have to go looking for it and waiting for it and do it. So it's just a nice calm passivity that we're looking for. So those are all of the different ways that we can communicate with spirit. So I hope that was very helpful and useful to you. And so what I'd like to do just to finish up before we get to the question and answers is just talk you through sitting in the power so you can get a feel of what that looks like and how that feels for you. And it'll just take a couple of minutes, and then you can practice it at home. You can take 5 minutes, a couple of days a week or however often you have, and you can practice it at home. So hopefully you can start to feel that connection from your own loved ones. Does that sound good for everyone? Okay, so here we go. And it'll just take a few minutes. So what we're all going to do together is we're going to first start by taking just a nice deep breath. So we're just going to have a beautiful inhale, and we're going to fill up our lungs all the way to the top. And we can go ahead and close our eyes. And as we exhale, we're just going to release and let go. Let go of anything that's happened before, anything later, any thoughts and worries. We can just pick all of that up later. And we'll just take another beautiful big breath. And just exhale, feeling yourself just sink into the chair or the couch that you're sitting in. Wherever you're sitting, just feel yourself just kind of sink into it. And just let your shoulders fall down. Let your eyes and your jaw relax. There you go. Perfect. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to move to our heart space. So we're going to focus on our heart. And if you wish, you could place your hand on your heart if that helps you make a connection, but you don't have to. And what I'm going to ask you to do as you connect with your heart space is first just to think about the people here in the physical that are still with us, that you love, your friends, and your family, your beloved pets. Just think about all the people that are here that you love. Just start to feel all of the joy that comes when we think about the people who we love and their smiles and all of the things that they give to us and that we give to them. Perfect. And I think this is a perfect day as we're in a day of remembrance to just feel love for the whole world, because we are all spirit and every single person has the spark of God within them or the spark of spirit within them. And just feel that love for anybody in the world, anybody and everybody. Beautiful. And now we're going to think of our loved ones that are in spirit that have passed on into the spirit realm, those that we love that are connected with us. Could be our family, could be our could be friends, could be our pets. Think about them, those happy moments, those smiles, those treasured memories. Very beautiful, perfect. I can feel the shift already. And now all of that love that you've created in your heart by remembering the people here and in spirit that you love, I want you to envision it as a beautiful ball of light. And it's just right there in the middle of your heart, this beautiful ball of light. And with all of that love that you've created, that light is going to start to grow and expand. So we'll think of us as taking a beautiful inhale, and that light begins to expand to fill up our entire body. And with every exhale, we just relax into that new state of expansion. And that light's going to get brighter as it gets bigger as well. Take a moment to feel that expansion. Oh, so lovely, so lovely. And now we're going to take another beautiful, gentle exhale, and we're going to imagine that light getting even bigger so that we're completely surrounded by that light. It's all emanating from our beautiful heart, all coming from love. And now we're completely surrounded by it, and it's getting even brighter and more magnificent. Beautiful. And now once again, we'll take another just gentle inhale, and we'll imagine that light now growing to where it's filling up the entire room you're sitting in, and it's getting even brighter. And with our gentle exhale, we just relax into that new space. And now once more, we're going to imagine that light gets so light and so bright that it actually filters out of the home and into nature, becoming one with everything. So you're becoming one with the air and the sky, with the sun and the moon and the stars, with the earth, the animals, and the plants. That beautiful light is just blending into the everything, to the atmosphere, and we become one with it, all that is spirit. And while we're in this beautiful expanded state, We'll just send a gentle thought out to our loved ones and to our guides and our angels. Please come closer. Please surround me in love so that I may feel your presence. And we'll just sit here for just a few seconds to give us the opportunity to allow spirit to come closer. Very beautiful. And we can take this moment to just thank them for spending a little bit of time with us, for surrounding us in their love. And then as they begin to step back once again, we'll slowly start to come back to our normal awareness. And we'll do that by remembering our physical body. So we'll feel our body in space, our head and our shoulders, our neck and our arms. And wiggle our fingers a teeny bit. Feel the chair that we're sitting in. Feel our feet connecting with the floor. Wiggle our toes. Send some energetic roots into the earth if you wish. Okay, so I'm just going to take a look, and when I see everybody's beautiful eyes back open again. There we go. Looks like we're all back. And you can just take your time with it. Now, I did that very quickly, but you absolutely can take your time with it. But the trick is we are learning to expand our energy. And when we do that, we feel our own space. And then we're also able to feel spirit come around us and just encircle us with love. And so when you ask them to come close, imagine yourself just falling into them, falling into their arms as they just hold you and give you love and feel that beautiful harmony that's with you. But you can take your time. You can do 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a half an hour, whatever works for you. But if you consistently practice that, you will find that your ability to feel that connection and ability to, we like to say, sort of build a reservoir of spiritual energy that we can use for connection will increase. So what I say by that is, as a medium, I'm holding a link with spirit for a specific period of time. And so by sitting in the power, it helps me to maintain that link and not lose it. And so it helps to build up that spiritual energy that you have to work with. And what you will love about that is how it makes your energy feel, because it'll make you feel very kind of empowered in your own space. So it's a beautiful practice to do. So I know we did that quickly, but again, take your time with it. And I hope you were able to have a lovely experience with that. And that concludes my presentation. So I hope that you got some beautiful tips on how spirit connects with us and how you can build your connection with spirit, develop your clairs, and please have fun with it, because connecting with spirit is magical and it's freeing and it's so beautiful. They have so much love to share with us. They love to connect with us and help us with everything. And so I hope that you all really have an opportunity to practice those things and really enjoy making those beautiful connections with your loved ones. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time. And now we can open it up to any questions and answers that people might have for me about the spirit world or about mediumship.
All right, this is Janice. Thank you for your presentation, Jennifer. Is clairsentient also synonymous with the word empathic?
Very similar. So what I would say is empathic is your ability to when an empath is somebody who has the ability to sort of feel emotional energy. So they're using their clairsentience to do that. So one is
Correct.
sort of the vehicle of the other. So empathy is, our ability to sort of be in other people's shoes and sort of kind of feel what they're feeling, or put ourselves into their shoes so that we can really feel that compassion for them and be a good listener and help them out. So, but we use our clairsentience in that way as well. So
Yeah.
we might realize, they're somebody's sad, and I'm feeling sad with them, but you also might not be feeling their sadness as much as you're empathizing with their experience. And you know that if you were experiencing the same thing, you would feel sad too. So it is important to, over time, learn to differentiate between inside and outside energies, because most of the time we're actually feeling our internal energy, or our mental thoughts about things are triggering a response within us. But that's helpful. It's helpful so we know what someone might be going through, so that we can be of assistance to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, over the years, and I'm a senior now, so it's been many years, I would be able to go into a building or a situation and just feel it. And when I was married for so many years, I never was able to mentally differentiate my husband's energy and his emotions from mine. I took them on, which wasn't a good thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I would love to offer you some information about that as well. And sometimes we think that happened, but it may not have always. That might not always be what it is. So I really do feel like kind of practicing that sitting in the power exercise will help you to be able to kind of make those distinctions, because often what we have is what we call like a mental response that causes a physical or energetic response within us. And also, as human beings, the way that we communicate is also through mirroring as well too. So we know, like with little kids, they're copying us, all of our mannerisms and things all the time. But we know that with people that we know very well, we start picking up different phrases that they make, or even different little mannerisms. And we feel like we realize that we're starting to do the same thing. So if you were having a conversation, you might both notice that you're sitting the same way or holding your hands the same way. So sometimes we're mirroring each other as well. And the important thing to know is that nothing outside of us energetically can harm us or hurt us. So it's okay if we feel something, we just let it go and we move on. So as mediums, I feel all kinds of things that Spirit's giving me information wise. It's just information, and I use that piece and then I let it go. There's nothing about you that anything outside of you is stronger. So we want to change our mindset, because I know a lot of people who are very sensitive and empathic, they feel like disempowered, as if they need to stay home all the time and can't go out and be around people. And that's no fun. We want to be able to do everything that everyone else can. So we have to change our mindset that anything outside of us is more powerful than us, because we have to first and foremost remember that we are spirit. We are made of what I call God source energy, or spirit energy, however, whatever term feels good for you. That is the essence of who we are. And that's why nothing outside of us can ever harm us as well. But I do think with you, with practicing that little meditation, would be very helpful for you, because then you'll be able to really see what's going on. And of course, I do think people that we're very close to, we will feel some of the same things that they're feeling. We're sharing experiences with them, and we're very connected with them. But when we use those emotions, and then we could always ask, we could think, I'm feeling sad all of a sudden. Is it the person who I'm with? And so we could always ask, how are you feeling right now? And then they might tell you what they're going to, and if they feel fine, and then you're like, then maybe that's something that's happening within you, but that doesn't mean you have to have a story to go with it. It doesn't mean anything's wrong. It just means you've had a change of mood, that your energy has just changed, and it will change again. Our moods and emotions fluctuate all of the time, and that's just part of the spiritual human experience that we're having. And so you're getting an opportunity, I'm having this feeling. And we think of it this way, does it really matter where it's coming from? We can just give that feeling love, or we can give that experience love, and then just let it go. Is that helpful for you, Janice? Yeah. We want to give love and acceptance to any kind of experience like that we're having. And that helps us to just release it at that point. And so, but if we do feel like, I know this was something, outside, and I feel like it's still with me, we just set the intention, just let it go. Okay. If this isn't mine, let it go. And if we're still feeling that response, then, okay, what's going on with me? Did something happen today that maybe gave me a little bit of anxiety and I wasn't really aware of it? And then that anxiety triggered a physical response. Or maybe we came in contact with somebody who reminded us of a person in our past that maybe we had a difficult experience with us. And in that reminder, it triggered a physical or energetic response with us. So there's a whole wide variety of explanations for the different energetic changes that we experience. So I hope that's helpful for you, Janice. Do you have any other questions?
Yes, since it's 9/11, I
Yeah.
was living in New York back until 2004. And I was, I used to go out to the Temple of Metaphysical Science on Sunday, and it was a great place. And I drove 50 miles each way. It was a wonderful place. And that's where I was honing my skills as a healer. And the thing is, 2 days before 9/11, I went out after the service for lunch with a former boyfriend, and who I shared a lot of things with. And as I was a teacher, so in September, I'm not a really happy camper, going back to work after enjoying my best teaching months were July and August, because I didn't have to teach. So, and then I was talking to him about my daughters, and I wasn't in the place where I wanted to be. All right, so we ordered our lunch and the appetizers came, and I did have a glass of wine. And I found having one glass really allowed me to relax. And so I was able to connect. And I'm eating the appetizer, and all of a sudden I get this wave of total sadness, and I start crying. And this was 2 days before 9/11. And I just start crying. And I mean, how weird. And the waiter came over, he said, "Was everything all right?" And I just couldn't shake that sad feeling. And years later, when I was in Florida, I spoke to other people who were clairsentient, empaths, mediums, and they had the same feeling. But like, what do you do with that? What do you call the FBI and say, I'm really sad, I'm having a bad day? What do you do with that?
Yeah. It's a beautiful question. So what you had was intuition. So you had the intuition, and then you also had an energetic response, an emotional response to that intuition. But at the time, you didn't know why, and you didn't have a story to attach to that. And then 2 days later, you realize, so you're feeling something happening. So think of it as just you were getting a psychic hit, basically. And then but you didn't quite know, you weren't getting the psychic hit in the sense of 9/11 is going to happen in 2 days, but you had the feeling something tragic was going to be happening, and you didn't know, have the extra information to put it all together. And so you felt the energetic response. Okay. So you just let it move through you, and then you just let it go. That's all you have. You send it love, you give it acceptance, and then just let it go. You can ground, or you can go get some fresh air, but none of that's going to harm you. And also remember that we have an energetic system. So your aura and your chakras, I'm sure you're familiar with your studies, Janice. And in that energetic system, energy is always flowing and moving. So that means emotional energy can flow and move too. And that can be one of the reasons why our mood or emotions change out of nowhere too. It could just be that some energy flowed through us. Many times people, when they start meditating, they start moving their energy in meditation, and they may have some, what my guidance likes to call saved for later response. Some people call it stuck emotional energy, but nothing's ever really stuck. It's purposely saved for later, for a time when it's safe to experience. And so maybe that just is ready to move. Oh, okay, soul of you says, let's move that out. It's time. We're ready to go. But you might not have the memory to go with it, or your soul may not give you the memory to go with it. It just says, let's let that go. And then that moves. And all of a sudden you're crying for no reason.
Right.
And so we just accept it and we just let it go. That's all you have to do. Yeah.
But I found I get hit with it. I get it right in my chest when I feel it in my heart.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not so much the solar plexus, but my chest gets heavy. And it's such a negative emotion.
Yeah.
But I also want to say, I went to Ground Zero a few years later. I wasn't even a block away, and I got that same feeling in my chest.
Mm-hmm.
It hits me like a brick wall.
Yeah.
So it's not a great feel. I mean,
I understand that it can be really uncomfortable. So another thing I'm going to suggest is, if that happens, then let's see if we can turn some loving emotions on. So it hits you in your chest. So your heart is feeling a response of emotion. So what could we do? Okay, let's send love to this situation. So connect with our heart space and going to a loving response. And that will give love to all of it, to the you that's experiencing it, and to anything that may be outside that could use that love. Just go into a loving response. So with practice, you will find you're able to do that. Okay, this feels uncomfortable. Let's give it love. So we give it acceptance, and we let it go and release it, but we also can just give it love too. And that, I think you will find that be very helpful. Yeah. Because
honor the soul.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a healing all around. Love is what heals everything. So that is a very empowering way to be able to respond to emotional energy that feels uncomfortable. And also within ourselves, we're all sad about that event, when we know that people lost their lives in a very tragic way. So we're going to feel sad too, just within us, if we start thinking about it and maybe read the stories. But it's okay, because we're human. It's healthy to experience sadness. It's healthy to experience all of the emotions. None of them are right or wrong or good or bad. They're not going to lower your vibration, because you are, in essence, a high vibrational being. It's just how we're experiencing them and how we judge them. So if we kind of go into non-judgment, okay, let's just give it love. Let me send healing. Let me give love. I think that will be very helpful for you, because I can tell you have a big, beautiful heart, Janice.
Thank you. Yes.
I wanted to ask, how do we know indeed that we are connecting with someone? I don't know, it seems like a fine line between connecting with someone or just thinking we are.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yeah, that's a really good question. And I know that many people in their development are so worried, is it really them, or is it my mind making it up?
Yeah.
Okay. And so that's one of the reasons why mediums do need to take time to develop and practice with other people, so that you can really learn to make that distinction. But we do find that by making mistakes and getting a no that I don't connect with that piece of evidence, then you learn what that feels like. Okay, what did that feel like to get that no? Or you give a piece of evidence and you think it means something, but it means something different. And that's okay, because we're always learning, and symbols can have multiple meanings of things. But then when you get the feedback from the person that you're practicing with, then you learn from that experience too. So there's quite a bit of practice. You can't just take a weekend workshop and then put a sign on your door and start charging.
Yeah, I'm just thinking for myself.
Exactly. So one of the things that will help is when you practice with the sitting in the power exercise. So learning to, expand your, and remember you have that light and feel it getting bigger and bigger. And over time, your mind will get quieter. And so when you get the quieter mind, they can really help to give you the clairvoyant images, the clairaudient thoughts, all those things, right? And so that will really help as you learn to still and quiet the mind. And it takes time. And you don't want to get mad at yourself if you find I sat for 30 minutes and I had thoughts the whole time. Don't get mad at yourself. You sat for 30 minutes. Spirit appreciates it so much, and they were still with you, and they can still work and help you. You can, ask your guides, help me to develop my clairs, and they can help you do that. Even if you find you've been thinking the whole time, it's okay. And then you just keep trying again. And over time, your mind will get quieter. In addition, we learn to wait for a change in our energy. So what's really helpful is by developing that clairsentience, we learn to feel, what does our energy feel like? And a lot of us just don't know, because we don't really have that sort of sense of our body and space and what our energy feels like. So with practice, when we learn to feel our own energy, then we feel a shift when a spirit person or our guide is coming in closer to us, and the atmosphere may feel a little different around us. It might get colder. It might feel a little bit thicker. So that might change around you too. So when you feel that shift, that's a really good indication that you've made that connection. And also, a lot of times we'll feel this wave of love that'll come through us. So if you kind of get this bubbly wave of love that starts to move through you, that's usually an indication that a spirit person's close to us, because they love us so much. Yeah.
Good.
And so I promise you they're around. If you're not feeling it or seeing it right away or hearing it right away, I promise you will. Just stick with it and give it the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will do.
Okay. Anyone else?
What happens, like, if you're sitting in the power, or just at other times a person comes in but that you don't recognize this person, they're trying to talk and you don't understand what they're trying to tell you, but this happens often.
Okay.
So how do you pursue, trying to figure out who they are and what they want?
Okay. So the first thing is, and if you're just sitting to connect with your own loved ones and guides, that's the only people who would come through for you, because that's who's connected to you. Does that make sense for you? So you don't have to worry about.
And I've experienced that, so that's it. But it's just this other now, and it's so often, and it's frustrating me because I don't know where to go with this.
Okay. So you're connecting mediumistically for somebody else, and you're feeling a spirit person come in for somebody else that or that's wanting a reading from you. Is that correct?
I don't do any of that. It's just that lately it's been fairly constant that I get this. And the face, the body, everything comes into my mind, I guess. It starts out with an eye, and then it opens up, and then it becomes a whole body.
Okay. But you're not seeing an actual like face or description of them. You're just seeing sort of like a silhouette. Is that
I'm seeing a face and everything, but I don't recognize it.
Okay. It's possible that this could be somebody that is connected with, say, a friend of yours or somebody that that would really be the only way that would happen. Or it could be an ancestor of yours that you may have not met. It could be a spirit guide of yours, because they might not have a familial connection to you. So you may be seeing a guide that's connected, and they can change. Guides can change depending on, how they're working with you and what's going on in your life too. So I wouldn't worry too much. Sometimes we're so excited, like everyone who's developing with their psychic and medium skills, they want to know their guides and what do they look like and what's their name and where are they from. And they're not really interested in sharing all that with us. They're here for us. And so, but over time you can still put the request in, and they might share that with you, or they might not. But every once in a while, someone has a guide that they can actually find, like in a history book or something like that, which is kind of fun. But most often we don't always get that. We might just get a first name or something like that, or you can call them anything. You can make up a name for them and they'd be perfectly, they're just there for you, loving you, constantly wanting to help you. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that helpful? Yeah.
We'll
But
work with that for a while.
yeah. But keep practicing your clairs like we discussed, and that will help too. Yeah,
Okay.
that will help as well. And keep a journal of what you're experiencing, and then you can kind of compare notes over time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Anyone else?
I wanted to say something. I'm glad you brought that up, Rebecca, because that's what I was going to mention to you, Jennifer, and Jennifer knows this, that I actually see people. I mean, and sometimes they surprise me. Like I went to put the garbage out and there was a young teenage boy dressed, I mean, could see the outfit, could see his face, the whole 9 yards, peering over the fence at me, you know, well, it wasn't the fence, but I could see him. And I know I went, whoa, you know, because I hear people walking up and down I hear people all the time, like steps at night and stuff, like people walking through the house, which is fine. I'm used to it. And so I kind of jumped, and he kind of, his eyes went back because I think he was surprised I saw him. Maybe he didn't, but he kind of ducked his head because I think he knew he shocked me. I wasn't really scared because I'm used to it. But at the same time, I would like to, when I have these experiences, I think it's what you've said, Jennifer, just get more into, you know, I know that he's not there to hurt me, but it's kind of like, I think I would have jumped even if it was a regular person there because it was at nighttime. So I think what you said about just sending the love and the energy, which I did afterwards, I said, thank you for coming. You know, I don't know who you were, but thanks for, you know, showing yourself to me. So I'm glad you brought that up, Rebecca, because it allowed me the ability to share my experience. So I know what you're going through, but it's like the whole body. I've seen my cousin Daryl going through my backyard, you know, it's like, okay, they're here.
I'd be okay if I recognize them all the time, but when I did.
Yeah, this one I didn't recognize, and I don't know
constant.
any. Yeah, I know my friends, what you said, my friend's stepfather, he had passed, and I kept seeing this man that was walking through, and I knew her stepfather had passed. So I called her and said, okay, this is what I saw. This is what he looked like. And she goes, oh my gosh, that's exactly like my stepfather. So we had a conversation that he sent over to her, and he was I saw, you know, but anyway, but I hate when I jump because I'm like, oh, they make that presence. And here I kind of got scared, which I shouldn't have.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Just over time, it will stop, you know, you'll just get used to it. So,
Especially when it's a stranger. I'm not scared when I see Daryl or something, but, and even that guy outside, I was like, wait, what are you doing in my yard?
Yeah, there's a connection there somewhere, but yeah, over time, and of course we would be startled even when a family member comes up behind us and we weren't expecting that to happen too. But yeah, over time it'll be good. So, but you're a medium, so that's you're having medium mystic experiences, which is very exciting, and the fact that you can actually see spirit objectively is so awesome. I mean, most mediums would just give anything for that. We get so excited. Anything spirit, we're excited. Let us hear you. Let us see you. We're so excited.
Well, I do have to say we got a new kitten, and then I'll shut up well, I shouldn't say that. I'll let someone else speak. But my son's first, and this is his second cat that he's gotten that's his own. And the first kitten smelled like roses, like my grandmother always would have roses on rose perfume on. And now this one smells like carnations, and that was her favorite flower. So I know, because Ryder said she always smells like roses. And now he's going, smell this cat. It smells like flowers, but I can't recognize it. It's that cinnamon spicy that the carnation has, that smell. So it's amazing how they're always with us. And I know all of you guys know this, but thanks for letting me share.
Oh, it's so magical. I just love it. That's such a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that with us. It's absolutely magical and beautiful. So,
regarding seeing people in our dreams or meditations that we know we haven't seen in this lifetime, I'm wondering if it could be from past lifetimes. So I used to get history lessons years ago.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
or how to be
absolutely
drawn
possible.
back. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that is definitely possible. Maybe another lifetime that you're tuning into where something's connecting with you that way. And that's helping you just to get in tune with the, how multidimensional we are as soul beings and part of the great being. Yeah. So maybe you're tuned into some historical information as well with that too.
Sometimes the dreams that I do remember were very limited parts of them. Like I wake up, I say, who are these people? Or if I wake up in the middle, I'm like, I don't even know you. What are you bothering me for? Not really, but I guess we have to be open to all possibilities.
Yeah, exactly. Be open to all possibilities. And, sometimes I'll mention quickly, sometimes people, when we're going through a spiritual awakening and a transformation, people can have some very interesting experiences that I'll say their higher self is giving them. And we may not understand them or what that means and feel a little bit fearful of that too. So they may be teaching us a lesson through some kind of vision, and it's an illusionary vision, but it feels so real, just like as if we were having a dream. And so all we really need to do is just accept it, not judge it. And then, but we can look into like what the deeper meaning of that, what the symbolic meaning. So if we have some kind of visionary experiences that's, intuitive in nature, where we're, seeing something, and it may be, maybe we have a vision of, some kind of historical conflict or something like that. We don't need to read too much into it. It's just, how does it make us feel? What do we learn? What is the meaning just for us in our own personal experience? We don't need to necessarily go out and do something about it. It's just, why might my soul be giving me that visionary experience, real, accurate, or just illusionary, kind of made up? But there's a higher purpose for it too. So that will happen with people who are going through a big transformational change as well. So point that out for people too. Any other last minute questions? Let's take a 5-minute break, and then we will be back, and I will connect with some of your loved ones. So I'm going to say thank you to everybody for being such great listeners and asking us such great questions, and we'll see you in just a moment.